In the last presentation I made, the DTI admitted that they had a contract with Pepsi so far as keeping this list of security codes, geographic numbers. Now, why did they still approve the ambiguous communications campaign only for a fact that they had this security list already? Because that amounts to connivance in manipulating perception of the consumers. That's what baffles me. Because the DTI approving this, saying the communications materials, despite the fact that they were, I think, gauging from the admission of Secretary of the Undersecretary of Audience in our last meeting, the DTI was trying to all these things. How come these things, these details are just coming out now? It should have come out right at the very start so that we could have prevented this whole crisis. If people have been truthful enough. Thank you.
Point of parliamentary procedure. It's a point of parliamentary procedure because I would like to make an inquiry. We could of course discuss all the details of this and answer questions from everybody in this room. And I'm sure everyone around can answer this very well, but for the rest of the hearing, will we answer questions from everyone or just from the caucus?
Well, I think all questions must be referred to the chair, and it is up to the chair whether we will answer that or not. So, may I remind everybody who's here that if there are any questions to be asked, for it to be referred to the chair. We call now on Attorney Poblador, Legal Counsel of Pepsi. Attorney Poblador.
Mr. Chairman, I think there are no other now would like to request the Commission to the Chair to answer that question. But in the future, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to support your statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to clarify or make a correction on the statement of Mr. Fierro that the rules that I mentioned are already covered the existing procedures or existing ministry order. What I'm really saying is that it wasn't covered in the ministry order and it is already included in implementing rules and regulations of the consumers hearing and finally to be implemented.
Thank you. Next, I call on Attorney Poblador, Legal Counsel of Pepsi.
Your Honor, yes, thank you. Your Honor, I would like to raise 2 points. First, I would like to make a general comment on the proposal of the DTI, and then I would like to make my own proposal on how the consumer code is amended. First, there is a constitutional provision to the effect that there can be no imprisonment for non-payment of debt. Now, the obligations arising from promotions is essentially an obligation arising from contracts. In fact, consistent with this principle, the claimants have filed cases in the courts for breach of contract for non-payment of prices. That is essentially a civil obligation, and if we inflict a penalty for non-performance of the civil obligation, there might be a conflict with the constitutional provision. Then I would like to make my own proposal on how the consumer code can be amended. I have looked over the consumer code, and there is no chapter, there is no section regulating the creation and the operation of so-called consumer groups. The concern of this committee is to prevent consumer abuse. And I think consumer groups themselves are sources of consumer abuse. For example, there should be a body which should be created to look into how these consumer groups are funded, how their officers disperse the funds of the consumers. For example, upon information we think is consumer groups are funded by contributions of their members. Now, I think avoid abuse on the members. Also, a point of inquiry is whether these consumer groups have been launching a systematic policy of violence against Pepsi. Pepsi has been a receiving end insofar as this policy is concerned. For example, there is talk of There's a claim that Pepsi caused public disorder. If you read the papers, Your Honor, at least a score of Pepsi trucks have been destroyed. Recently, 2 pedestrians, innocent pedestrians, that were killed because of a grenade attack. I think, Your Honor, this is a legitimate issue which should be inquired. Pepsi has not caused public disorder. It is a victim of public disorder, and its only fault is that it is willing to submit its case before the courts. However, the 349 claimants cannot wait. As a way of extorting illegitimate compromise or settlement, they have inflicted harm on Pepsi. And I think, Your Honor, the consumer code could be amended to address these legitimate issues.
Thank you. We will finish first with the testimony, and then later on you'll have your time. I call now on Attorney Hector Delgado, Legal Counsel of Pepsi.
I am the Pepsi Philippines Incorporated, the master of Pepsi something here in the Philippines. I would like to just download the manifestation of counsel of attorney for the door and reserve my further comments as I will deem proper later on in the further proceedings, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now I call on Attorney Quintin Gomez Jr., Representative and National Company Manager of Pepsi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a slight correction, I'm not an attorney or a lawyer. I work for PepsiCo Incorporated as the current regional manager of the company. And my only comment is, aside from what Attorney Boglador has said, is to say that from the very start, when we conceptualized the promotion, our intentions were clear, our intentions were above board. There was no deceit, there was no fraud, there was no ill will intended towards our consumers. That would be the farthest thing from our mind, given the company we work for and given the length of time we have been operating in this market and the length of time we would like to continue operating in this market. So even from a business standpoint, if you wanted to commit deceit or fraud, it would be poor business judgment. So I just want to make it clear, for whatever it's worth, that was not our intention whatsoever. It is unfortunate that the 349 issue came up. As we've already indicated in the previous meetings, it was a mistake, an honest mistake. Nobody wanted it to happen.